So I've been investing in the stock market for quite a few years now, guys, and I have seen it all. I've seen the best, the most beloved companies today being hated on in prior years. I've seen the stock market go from rational to irrational in a snap of a finger. And when that happens, you see stocks, especially if it's targeted at individual stocks, you see them drop massively, essentially overnight. And that's pretty much what happened with the stock we're going to talk about today. In the last 5 trading days, this stock has lost nearly 17% of its value, and this was mainly driven by some bad news. And the way I see it is, hey, I'm a long-term investor in the stock. I love the business, so this is just a 17% off sale. Who doesn't love sales? And guys, I've been taking advantage. I've already built this position out, but on April 19th, I added more shares at $106.25 per share. I just couldn't resist the dip. And I'll be honest, under $100 per share here, I will probably look to buy even more. We'll see. And the reason I'm talking about the stock today is because so many of you have been asking me on Instagram, here on YouTube, in the comment section about my thoughts on what's going on the news, on whether I'm still holding the stock and all that stuff. So I figured, you know what? I've talked about the stock quite a few times, especially in recent months. It's only fair for me to make an update video here and let you know my thoughts on the situation. Also, guys, I'm going to share a valuable piece of advice here in this video. So, if anything, make sure you stick around because you will gain some insight on how I've managed to pull some pretty impressive gains over the years in companies when I see something common happen. And I think that's happening with this stock right now. Oh, and not to mention, I'll also go over what the news is, of course. I'll talk about ARK Invest buying the stock heavily, and we'll also look at some analyst ratings for this as well because they are bullish, so we have a lot to cover today. The stock, guys, is Peloton, ticker symbol PTON, and the bad news was that the US Consumer Product Safety Commission, or CPSC, warned consumers to stop using the Peloton Tread Plus. If you're not familiar, this is what the Tread Plus is, and it isn't the bread and butter bike that Peloton sells, but it is a product that Peloton released to kind of expand their market reach. The CPSC says that consumers should not be using this Tread Plus if children or pets are around because they could get injured beneath the machines. Seriously, does it even need to be stated that kids and pets should not be around a piece of machinery? What has this world come to? Honestly, I think the reason that this story has been making headlines on news outlets and such is because Peloton is such a popular company. Their product is something that people love. Product is something that people just can't wait to get their hands on. And this is something similar we've seen happen with Tesla this past weekend as well. And there's an unfortunate car crash and it's covered all over the media. When there is a company that people love, that the media knows people love, having a negative headline on it gets a lot of clicks, it gets a lot of buzz, it gets a lot of attention, and that's why they do it. But anyways, this is not really a joking matter, right? What happened with the whole Peloton Tread Plus situation was devastating. I'm not gonna underpin that, and I feel for the family and I feel for the child, and just the whole situation is just absolutely terrible. But can you really blame the business and the product for this? If consumers aren't following, warning labels and, just honestly using common sense that this is a dangerous piece of machinery, this should not be used with kids around or pets around, how can you blame the company for that? That's like saying a hammer was left out or a chainsaw was left out and kids managed to get hold of that and they turned it on or they used it and they hurt themselves. Do you go and blame the hammer company? Do you go and blame Black & Decker for creating that hammer or that chainsaw? No, I don't think so. You would blame the parents in most cases for not supervising their child. And somehow this has turned into a Peloton problem. They need to fix it. They created a faulty product. They are the ones responsible. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's just how the news cycle has kind of spun this now. Anyways, on this news, Kathy at ARK Invest has been loading up on shares. And even on the 21st here when I'm filming this video at around, what time is it? Midnight here, 1 a.m., I see that they added another 152,000 shares. ARK is doubling down on this because they know this is a buying opportunity. And while I don't agree with ARK on all of their investments, this is definitely one that we see eye to eye on. But even with this news, guys, even with all the negative headlines, 5-star analysts on TipRanks are reiterating their buy ratings with price targets ranging from $150 to $170. The overall consensus is a strong buy on Peloton stock with a 61% upside. Now, I know a lot of you tend to hate on Peloton. In fact, you're probably leaving a hate comment right now saying how this is such a bad investment. And that's fine, to each their own. I'm not here to try to convince you that this is a great stock. I'm just here to present the facts and my opinion on the stock. But regardless, whether you're, an agreement of my Peloton position or not, don't judge me based on the price movement in such a short period of time. Day to day, stocks can fluctuate massively. There can be news that we can't control. There can be events that we can't control. There could be global issues that we can't control. A lot can happen day to day. How I do want you to judge me though is based on my performance over 3 to 5 years plus. That is kind of where my bread and butter is. That is kind of where I see huge potential with my stock picks. And I've kind of proven this time and time again with many picks in the past. So with this whole sell-off in Peloton stock, I'm fine with the bears taking control right now. I'm well aware this is a decently shorted stock. I'm well aware this is a hated stock. It's very polarizing. People either, are huge fans of this product and this company, or they just don't like it at all. They don't see the vision for it at all. And I get both sides, but I'm clearly on the side that sees this business propelling much bigger over time. But regardless, with the bears and the negative news cycle and all of this, FUD out there right now with Peloton, it presents just an opportunity for me to build my position even larger. And over time, I strongly believe that, say, 3 to 5 years from now, Peloton will be a big winner for me. $100 per share will probably look like a fairly cheap price, and I'll probably be wishing at that point that I bought even more shares. Let me just give you an example. When I was buying NVIDIA back in 2019, I made some videos on it. I explained why I was buying it, what I saw in the stock, why I'm bullish on it long term, and this was back when NVIDIA was not a popular stock. It was what was seen as a loser company. AMD, Intel, those were all the rage companies. Who cares about NVIDIA? They're not going to make it. They're not going to go anywhere. Their future's done. And I was like, I don't know. The fundamentals say otherwise. This business is firing on all cylinders. Sure, they're facing some short-term issues, but long-term, I think they'll be just fine. And look where NVIDIA is at now. But back when I was buying it, it was around the $150 to $170 price range. So yes, this performed well. Another example is Align Technologies. I got comments like, Nick, why are you buying this clear aligner company? It's such a lame investment. Who wants to invest in such a lame business? You're not going to make any money on this. They're not going to last much longer. Competition's coming for them. There's so many products in the space that are doing the same thing. Yada, yada, yada. And well, Align was one I bought in the mid to high 100s, and now it's also above $600 per share. And I can give you many more examples on this, but that's not the point. The point is the lesson that I've learned from investments like this. When the media is pumping out bad news, negative article, negative headlines, is trying to put fear out there on a business or a stock, that is when it's time to double down on your research, double down on your conviction, and buy heavy. Now, I'm not giving you advice here, but this is just what I do. I've noticed this time and time again. There's many businesses in the past that I've just doubled down because I just saw the vision, I saw the future, and it has rewarded me handsomely. But at the same time, I wasn't always like this. I've also fallen trapped to this over the years. Back when I started investing many years ago, I used to see negative headlines and I was like, sell, 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 let's lock in some losses. I'm not touching this stock. This is it for the company, only to find out a few months or a couple years later that the stock is double, triple in value. It's a great buying opportunity and I should have bought. If it is a strong brand, strong business with strong fundamentals, and you actually see the projectile growth that they have going forward, that is a good reason to double down when the rest of the stock market seemingly doesn't want the stock. Trust me, the best of the best companies, Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, all these companies go through these cycles, and those always end up being buying opportunities. Also keep in mind, when it comes to Peloton, the Tread Plus is not their main product. This is not where they're making a lot of their money on. It is just something to expand, to reach more consumers, but the bike is their bread and butter. So in terms of their sales, I don't think this is really gonna affect them too much. Now, it may hurt their brand perception with consumers, at least for the next little while, because some people who may consider buying it are like, oh, I'm just gonna read this headline and now I'm not gonna buy this Tread Plus. But the more savvy consumers will actually do some research, find out what the issue actually is, and they'll just say, oh, okay, this is common sense. Kids, pets, don't use it around them. Okay, I can do that. order. And I think over time, it's just going to kind of iron itself out. It's going to be a non-issue. It's going to be a buying opportunity. Now, if Peloton handles this poorly though, that's when things can actually start going south. That's when the fundamentals can actually start changing, because that could actually start affecting the business, their revenues, their sales. And that is when I may have to reevaluate my position. But as of right now, we don't know enough information. We don't know if this is actually affecting their sales numbers. Hey, maybe with all this publicity, people are looking to Peloton now and they're actually buying their bikes or signing up for their app or whatever. So this may actually end up being a really good thing for them long term. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I've seen this happen many times before with other businesses where there's negative news, but it ended up being good for the company because it was like free publicity for them. And yeah, the market works in weird ways. But anyways, this sell-off here, guys, could last a few weeks, a few months, maybe a year, but that's a little bit far-fetched. I don't know if it's gonna last a year. But regardless, like I said, 3 to 5 years from now, come back here, let me know how Peloton does. If by then the investment is still doing poorly and I'm down on my investment, yeah, this was probably not the best pick. Now, the other big elephant in the room here with this whole situation is the fact that they may need to recall these Tread Plus products, and that could cost them a lot of money. That could be pretty detrimental, and that could affect their earnings here, which would actually affect their fundamentals, which would make me reevaluate this position. But in a statement, their CEO did say that they're working on a software-enabled backup access code that will provide an additional layer of protection against unwanted use. This would be a smart, cost-effective solution. It's not going to require them to, ship out any additional parts or recall the $1,000 products here, which would cost them a lot of money, of course. All they need to do is kind of integrate it with the app, and say you turn on the machine with the key, it asks you on the app for a passcode, or you've got to input a passcode on the Peloton device itself. And that alone will pretty much resolve this issue of these machines getting turned on without an adult around. Also keep in mind, Peloton as a business, they're making moves. In recent weeks, the company has expanded to Australia, which is a huge new market that they can thrive in. And they also completed their acquisition of Precor, which will be pivotal in their expansion to hotels and gyms worldwide. Peloton's also expect to report their next earnings release sometime in May. So that could be the next catalyst that kind of bounces us back here, sends the stock higher once again. But for now, guys, stay level-headed. Don't let the media control your emotions here. Understand the business you're investing in. Understand, where this company is going over time. Figure out for yourself, is this actually going to have a material impact 3 or 5 years from now? Are people actually going to remember in 3 years that Peloton is not safe and they're not going to buy this stock? If you believe that's the case, then yeah, maybe this isn't the best investment for you. But if you're someone like me that thinks, okay, this is just a short-term blip, we're going to get past this, things are going to start moving higher once again over time, this is a buying opportunity. I can't stress that enough. Anyways, guys, hope this video was insightful. I hope the lesson that I've learned over the years that I shared in this video was actually valuable to you. And I do think that if you kind of use that for your investments, focus on quality companies, and just look for negativity out there that's just irrational, you can do extremely well over time with your investments. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.